Hi everyone, welcome to Cree Recap. The film opens in a modest home where a married couple, Grace and Edward, live together. Grace is the type of woman who can't stay quiet. Whenever she speaks, she wants to be fully heard and acknowledged, making sure everything she says is clear. Her personality is the complete opposite of her husband's. Edward prefers peace and quiet, and he tends to avoid confrontation whenever possible. In their relationship, Grace has always believed that Edward loves her deeply and will submit to the way she treats him. Edward is a high school history teacher. He's known as a kind and dedicated educator who knows how to keep his students focused in class. Throughout their marriage, Grace is always expected to be served and listened to whenever she speaks. More often than not, she pushes her opinions and ideas, insisting that her husband agree with her. But instead of arguing or fighting back, Edward simply opens his laptop and lets Grace talk on her own. Grace's need to dominate isn't only felt by Edward. Their son Jamie feels it too. In fact, every time Jamie is about to walk into the house, he mentally prepares himself to face his mother. Jamie works for a company in another city. This time, he's come home to visit his parents, even though it's often emotionally exhausting for him because of his mother's controlling nature. The next day marks Grace and Edward's 29th wedding anniversary. During dinner, they talk about plans to celebrate. But what should have been a relaxed family meal quickly turns tense. Grace takes over the conversation, constantly pushing her opinions and controlling the discussion. Edward and Jamie remain silent.
Was all there is. How could we bear it? Edward, explain why. Go on, explain.
I do know the arguments.
No, but if you... Tell him, Edward.
Tell him what?
That God... That's just how it is.
The father and son share a similar trait. Neither of them wants to get involved in unnecessary conflict. Eventually, Jamie excuses himself and goes back to his room to continue working. Edward is also the one who takes care of all the household chores. Meanwhile, Grace continues demanding to be heard. Day after day, simple conversations turn into pressure and arguments.
Sometimes I think we don't really talk. You see, we don't talk. I say things. Why don't you say things?
I know I am the way you sometimes.
No, that's about how I feel.
Say it would be wrong.
No, it can't be wrong if it's true.
Your problem.
Don't ever say that to me again.
To Grace, Edward's silence feels like indifference. But to Edward, staying silent is simply a way to survive. The argument is overheard by Jamie, who comes downstairs to ask what's going on. Grace complains and says she wants Edward to be more assertive, more courageous, and more like a real husband. Jamie tries to explain that his mother shouldn't constantly pressure his father, but instead of reflecting on what he says, Grace starts rambling again and even criticizes Jamie for still being single. Her words leave him speechless.
Have you got a secret wife somewhere? Secret children? Think odd about you living alone in that flat at your age.
For a brief moment, Grace seems to realize that maybe the way she has treated them all this time was wrong, but she still can't bring herself to stop talking. The next morning, Grace goes to church. Meanwhile, back at the house, an unexpected conversation takes place between Edward and Jamie. Edward says that he wants a separation. He admits that he has fallen in love with a woman named Angela, who is the parent of one of his students at school. Jamie is shocked by his father's sudden decision.
Her name's Angela.
Edward explains that he has given up. He feels that he has never been able to make Grace happy, and that in her eyes, he is always the one at fault. He plans to tell Grace about his decision after she returns home from church. Inside, Jamie is torn. He cares deeply about both of his parents, but at the same time, he understands why his father has come to this decision. When Grace returns from church, she greets Edward warmly, as if nothing had happened. But eventually, Edward tells her that he wants to end their marriage.
I give you what you want, so I felt like I looked very useful. Go our separate ways. I want to leave. There's someone else. I'm sorry. Her name's Angela Walker. I've made up my mind.
Walk away after 29 years. You have... Sit down. Finish your breakfast.
I have finished.
Grace is shocked. She becomes furious when she finds out that there is another woman. At first, she thinks Edward is just bluffing. She apologizes and promises that she will change. But Edward has already made up his mind. He takes his suitcase and calls Angela. Just a few minutes later, Angela arrives to pick him up. Only after Edward leaves does Grace truly realize how much she loves her husband. The house suddenly feels empty. Everything looks neglected because Edward was always the one who took care of it. Grace slowly sinks into sadness. Sometimes she even feels as if she can still see Edward's shadow around the house. She asks Jamie to convince his father to come back, but Jamie refuses. He believes that maybe his father's decision is the right one. In fact, Jamie even says that his father probably should have left much earlier. Those words hurt Grace deeply. For the first time, she begins to reflect on herself. Although he was reluctant at first, Jamie eventually agrees to meet his father and ask him to reconsider. But Edward stands firm in his decision. He even admits that maybe he misunderstood the love between him and Grace all along. He also says that all the assets and the house will go to Grace.
I'm sorry. Right.
When Grace hears this, instead of feeling relieved, she blames Jamie for not trying hard enough to bring their family back together.
You to help me.
Days passed and Jamie becomes more and more worried about his mother. Grace seems completely consumed by her sadness. One day, she finds her standing alone at the edge of a cliff. Afraid she might do something dangerous, he begs her to move on and keep living. After that moment, Grace slowly begins trying to rebuild her life. She starts socializing again and even adopts a dog, naming it Edward after her former husband. But deep down, she still holds on to hope.
Why not? His name is Edward.
Later, Grace and Edward meet again at a lawyer's office to finalize their divorce. Grace receives all the assets and a house. Yet, she still blames Edward, accusing him of betrayal and saying he never tried hard enough to save their marriage.
What happens if I don't? No more references to sneaking, two-faced marital treachery. Isn't all my memories, and when we meet again in the next world...
I've agreed to this.
Sit!
Edward eventually gets up and leaves the room. Even so, Grace secretly watches Edward from outside his house, still hoping that somehow things could return to the way they used to be. Jamie encourages his mother to return to the poetry club she once enjoyed, but her curiosity eventually leads Grace to visit Edward's house. There, she finally meets Angela in person. The woman is real, and that reality hits Grace harder than anything else.
Grace, come.
Unfair, isn't it?
The film ends without a happy ending for Grace. She remains alone, holding on to the belief that she only wanted to be loved, even though her way of loving often hurt the people around her. Meanwhile, Edward continues his life with Angela, finally finding the peace he had been searching for.
You grow older now. You're still ahead of me. Forgive me for needing you to be strong forever. Forgive me for fearing your unhappiness. As you suffer, so I shall suffer.
From this film, we learn that love doesn't always fade because people stop trying. Sometimes it fades because there is too much pressure and too little space to breathe. Grace loves by demanding. Edward loves by avoiding. Neither of them is truly evil. They are simply two people who fail to understand how to love each other. Perhaps the most painful distance in a relationship isn't physical distance, but the distance between good intentions and feelings that never truly reach the other person. And when love falls into that space, what remains is no longer hope, but silence slowly pulling two people apart. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. See you in the next story.